Here's an explanation of the reasoning behind why a federal magistrate judge denied bond for Sean P. Diddy Combs, who was arraigned in the Southern District of New York on charges relating to allegations of RICO and sex trafficking. I'm Molly. I'm a federal criminal defense lawyer and an adjunct law professor, and in federal court, bond or bail determinations are considered under the Bail Reform Act, which has been codified in 18 United States Code Section 3142. This provision of the code lists certain considerations for the court in determining whether or not to release somebody pending trial. In federal court, you basically get one chance to argue bond. You can appeal that decision to a higher court, but it's not like you can have a series of bond hearings and keep petitioning the judge for your release. We saw Sean Combs' lawyers present to the magistrate judge a bond proposal, basically saying that he would pay $50 million, that he would further secure the bond by not only his property, but his mother's property, that he would further secure the bond by the signatures of his family members, that he would be on home detention, that he would have geolocation, ankle monitoring. All of this was to overcome a presumption against bond for the sex trafficking charge that Mr. Combs is currently facing. Now, the government still has the burden to prove that Mr. Combs is a flight risk or a danger to the community or anybody in the community. But when it comes to certain charges like sex trafficking, if they meet their burden, then there's a presumption that the individual should not get a bond pending trial. However, the defense can overcome that presumption through what's called a burden of production by producing something, in this case, a proposal to the court, some information about Mr. Combs, his background, and what the court can do to secure his appearance pending trial and assure the community and any individual in the community that he's not a risk of harming them in any capacity. Here, the magistrate court said, no, I still think he's a flight risk, but furthermore, I think that Mr. Combs is a risk of intimidating witnesses, and a lot of that came from the allegations in the indictment. So what's going to happen next is that the defense can basically appeal this decision, have a review of this decision from a higher judge, a district court judge, and then technically they could also appeal it to a circuit court. If this magistrate court's decision is upheld, and if there is no appeal or no successful appeal at the circuit court level, then Mr. Combs will be staying in custody pending trial of his case, which always makes things a bit more difficult for any defense lawyer as they're trying to prepare for trial, and is of course always difficult for any individual who has to stay in custody, especially when they're used to a very different lifestyle than the one that a jail provides. So we'll have to see what happens, and until then, I'll see you in court.